Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are in my workshop, and what you just saw me do was cut out a blank out of some old oak that's got some wormwood damage to it for the bottle opener that we're making today. Now, there is no credit to be thrown my way for this design. And this project can actually be found in the book by Nick Offerman called Good Clean Fun. And this specific design comes from Matthew Machucci. He also uses a piece of oak that's got some nice weathering to it, and it outlines each step through the process, and that's what we're going to be making today. For this project, you really need very few tools. I'm going to be using the bandsaw to cut out the bottle opener. I'm sure you could use a coping saw. You also need a 1 5/16 inch drill bit. I only have, my closest is a 1 1/8. I think that'll work just fine. And then also, you're going to need a nail and then a drill bit that's the same size as your nail. In the book, they use a square nail. All I have is a round nail, so I'm just going to file that to have a flat edge. And that flat edge allows you to pop the top off of your bottle. So the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out what shape we want to make the bottle opener. I think I'm going to copy the shape that is in the book. So the front has sort of a angle to it, like that, and then it sweeps really cleanly to get thinner, and then a little bit thicker back at the end. And then this is going to be all of our waste material. The first thing we're going to do is drill the hole, because if we cut the shape out first, then we will have to be drilling onto a section that's angled, and you can't do that with a Forstner bit. So I just marked the area where we're going to start drilling with the bit and a mallet that we made in the previous episode. You can check that out up in the corner. We can now chuck up our drill bit and go ahead and make that first hole. Alright, so that should be the perfect depth. I had to go a little bit deeper just because I had a thicker blank. You need the hole to be able to see inside of this area, and if I go 3/4 of an inch deep, it's not going to reach that point. So now, we can go ahead and rough out this shape on the bandsaw. Now, in the project, Matthew leaves the bottle opener this blocky 90-degree sort of form, and I don't like how that fits in my hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my carving knife and round over all of these edges and try and give it some more three-dimensionality to it, so it's not just this one form. And I think that'll give it some nice feel to it and make you want to pick it up. shaped and sanded this bottle opener up to 220 grit. I got it to a shape where it feels really nice in the hand, and you can get some good leverage when you're popping open your bottle. Right now I have some blue tape over the end that I'm going to be drilling through. This will help prevent some tear out. I have a 1/8 inch drill bit chucked up into my drill, and that's the same size as my nail. I had to do a slight modification on my nail. In the book they use a square nail, and that lets you get a nice purchase on the cap of your bottle and it helps pull it off. So I had to just take a file to this nail and square it off a little bit. So let's drill this hole and then we can get on to finishing the project. Now you want to place your hole in a spot where the nail is going to be able to poke through a little bit. That way you can actually get a purchase on the cap of the bottle. So I have it marked out right here, and I pushed in to give it a little divot so the drill bit can bite in right there. So if you had a drill press, that would be ideal to use, but I do not, so I'm just going to carefully drill vertically. Alright, that worked out very, very well. The tape worked really, really well. There's no tear out on this side. There's a little bit on this side, but the head of the nail will cover that up. Now, what we have to do is we have to mark out where we're going to cut off the nail. I am going to use a Sharpie and just be very, very careful not to draw on the wood. So I'll cut it off right there and then file it down to be flush with the bottle opener. I'm just going to use these cutters, these flush cutters, to nip off the end. And now I'm just going to use a file to make that end not sharp anymore and nice and flush with the bottle opener. Alright, that's nice and flush now. So let's go ahead and grab some epoxy and glue it in. I am going to be using 5-minute epoxy for this. Just need to find a little stir stick to mix the two parts together. Aha! Got one, found one. Don't clean your shop, kids, and then you can have stir sticks all around you. Dab of resin, and then a little dab of hardener, and then just mix them together. So I made a little mark on the nail for the orientation I have to have it in. So it's going to go in with the nail facing up, like that. Alright, so let's cover this end in epoxy, and very, very carefully slide it through the hole that we just drilled. I'm going to take a little more and just cover up the hole. I'll be able to sand it back. Now we just have to let this sit. While we're waiting for the epoxy to dry, I'd just like to say, if you really like these kind of videos that I'm doing, please subscribe and like the video for more, because I'll continue making these projects as often as I can. Alright, so the glue has dried, and it's time to put the finish on. I'm going to be using this matte finish, clear protective finish from Rust-Oleum. It should be able to protect the bottle opener from any sort of moisture, and really pop the grain. So let's shake this up and then go ahead and apply that finish. Alright, now we wait for it to dry. The finish on the bottle opener is now dry, and boy does it look amazing. It's got a nice satin sheen on it. And all that we have left to do now is test it. I've got some seltzer right here. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you really love what I'm doing here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.